Welcome, gender-conscious friends. I'm your host, Faight Zay. My pronouns are they, he, she, and I'm so glad the simulation brought you here today. This is Our Lives, Gender Included,
where I and another gender-conscious friend talk about things found in everyday life and how gender, if at all, affects those topics.
This episode's topic is autism, but before I intro our guest, I gotta get the important stuff out of the way. First of all, thank you to all of my listeners and everyone who helps make this podcast possible, including our very first sponsor on Anchor, Danielle M. Thank you so much for deciding to financially support this podcast. Also, if you could, please rate and review the podcast if the platform that you're using so enables it. It is super helpful for podcasts to get them seen and hopefully get me more ads, because I have reached the required 50 listeners on Anchor and we'll be able to be doing ads soon, which is really cool. Also, if you're into the social media thing, all the links will be on my website, lyricallyfaight.wixsite.com/faitzay, which will be in the description down below. It has all of my social media links on the first page, my TikTok, which I use a lot, my Insta, which I'm getting into using more, my Twitter, where I made my first original tweet, my YouTube, which I have been using more, my podcast right here, if you would like to share the podcast with your friends, there's a link right there, my wish list, if you want to get me a present, my Patreon, if you'd like to support me in exchange for different benefits, and soon a Redbubble link where you'll be able to buy my art on different items. And with that, on with the episode. Hello. So this is our gender conscious friend, Thio. So to start off, I'm just going to have you go through your gender journey, kind of like how you got to where you are right now.
Yes. So for the majority of my life, up until about 8th grade, I saw myself as a cis girl, but I was very self-conscious, just of my body and of my face and of my personality. Mm-hmm. And part of that was the way that I was raised, but I realized later down the line that I, am trans. So in about 8th grade, I realized that I was trans, but I thought I was a trans man, which was not correct. Mm-hmm. But I came out to a ton of people. I came out to extended family. I came out to my immediate family. I came out to my friends. And my mom was not a big fan of that. And she was like, "No, you're not. I know you better than anyone else." Not true. And you're not trans. This isn't who you are. And I got really tired of it. So I went back into the closet. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'm not a boy. She successfully gaslighted me into thinking that I'm actually not trans. And then I felt that way for about 3 years. So freshman, sophomore, junior year of high school. And then partway into quarantine in my junior year, I made this friend group and they were all very supportive. And I was surrounded by healthy trans people. And I realized that I'm not, in fact, a cis girl. And I am trans non-binary.
That's great. So this episode's topic is autism. Would you like to maybe just tell me a little bit about your experience with it?
Well, I've had it my whole life, but I only fully realized that I had it after doing 3 years worth of research, 4 years maybe worth of research, deep diving into the symptoms and how to recognize them and how they affected me in my life and the signs from an early age and how it affects me now. And I also have a lot of people in my friend group are autistic. Mm-hmm. And they also helped me by sharing their experiences with me and, explaining how it affected them and the ways that we were similar in that way.
Yeah. I didn't have a giant friend group and of like people who were autistic, mostly just when my sister got diagnosed and I was like researching it to try to like figure out how to like help her. I was like, this is very familiar. And that was, how old is she? That was like 6 years ago. And I only this past year have been like, yeah, I probably have autism.
Yeah.
And it sucks that I like figured it out, but like didn't really go with it. But it's because of that like stigma around self-diagnosing.
Yeah. It's really unhealthy, the stigma around self-diagnosis, especially considering the amount of people who don't have a supportive family, who are willing to like open themselves up to having a disabled child or family member, and how expensive it is to get a diagnosis, even if you do have people who are willing to help you.
Yeah. Just like how restrictive the diagnosis can be for certain things. Like you can't like adopt kids or get certain jobs. Like,
yeah. By getting a formal diagnosis, it closes a lot of paths and opportunities for you, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah. And like, it's like, as horrible as it is, it's like, I sort of want one. Like, it'd just be validating, I think.
Yeah. Just like to formally know that partially that you're right about it. And also that, that like, you know, for sure what's going on.
Yeah. Also, though, the trouble with that is sometimes you go there to get one diagnosis and you get a diagnosis for something else because the doctors don't know you as well as you know yourself.
Yeah, they don't know you. And, you know, the process for getting diagnosed as anyone who isn't a young boy is like so grueling.
Yeah. The stereotype is so horrible.
Yeah.
It makes it this one very small little box.
Yeah.
And it makes it very hard for anybody else to possibly get a diagnosis.
Yeah. And the amount of people who are like autism moms who are like, oh, well, you're nothing like my son who's autistic, my 6-year-old son who is autistic. Like, yeah, I'm a grown person.
Yeah.
Of course I'm not. And it's a spectrum. That's why it's called ASD, autistic spectrum. Like,
yeah. It's just hard for a lot of people to like wrap their heads around the fact that it can be different than the way that they see, especially if they've never met a person who is autistic and they've only seen like TV. So like, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio in What's Eating Gilbert Grape, or like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory.
Oh my God. The Sheldon thing. Oh my God. Like I'm more autistic like Dipper from Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
Not like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory.
I think I'm probably like Suki from Gilmore Girls. She is great at food, and she is so obsessed with food, and it's amazing. And she's very clearly a little bit autistic.
I usually have like an entire like catalog of characters who I identify as autistic in the same way that I am. But now that I'm like trying to think of examples, I can't think of any more.
Me neither. That's like bothering me now.
This always happens. And then I'll be like, oh, this character, but it's my OC, so no one can agree with me.
Yeah, or like 5 days later, I'll think of 7. And I'll be like, why didn't I say that?
Why couldn't I think of that on the podcast? I also think it's really interesting the amount of autistic people who identify as non-binary and the amount of non-binary people who are autistic, because it's a lot. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, the like, it's called like neuroqueer or something like that. Like that. I love that. It's especially funny because a lot of the diagnoses are only like very specific white boy, and they don't take into account women or the fact that a lot of autistic people are like genderqueer or gender nonconforming.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love every time like I meet somebody who is autistic and also like non-binary or something.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, yep, we're part of the club. We're cooler than everybody else.
We are the same, but also different.
Yeah. And like not in a way that's like you're bullying me for it, you know? Like we're same and different, but like we're friends.
Yeah. Like you get it.
Yeah. It's very difficult trying to explain my gender to someone who isn't neurodivergent because or at the very least gender non-conforming because like it doesn't make any sense, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very helpful to also be like, you know, like that thing. And like, they're like, yeah, no, totally. I'm like, thank God.
Thank God you get it.
Literally.
Who knows how awkward it would have been if you didn't understand.
Yeah.
Like when you try to explain things to neurotypical people and they're like, what? I've never dealt with that in my life. And you're like, oh shit, man.
That never made any sense to me when like I was like on TikTok and like seeing a bunch of those like autistic people talking to neurotypical people because I don't know any neurotypical people. Like I don't really interact with them. So when people are like, what do you mean you don't do this? I'm like, everybody I know does this. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Are there people who don't hear the buzzing of the refrigerator? Like what are you talking about?
Are there people who don't hear the entire house all the time?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry, not everybody's super awkward for no reason and has to like explain why they're super awkward for 5 minutes before they have a conversation.
Yeah.
Really? What? I'm like, everybody in my family and all of my friends do it, so I think you're lying.
What do you mean you don't get spoken phrases stuck in your head?
Oh my God.
That's one that I can't understand. Like with stimming and with people who don't get spoken phrases stuck in their head.
Mm-hmm.
Like how what? They're like, no, I get like songs and melodies stuck in my head, but I never get spoken phrases. What do you mean you don't get that one clip of Derma saying he's gonna chop someone up in a meat grinder stuck in your head?
Yeah, I get TikTok sounds stuck in my head so often. Oh my gosh, then I'm just like walking around the house, just like repeating them, just like to myself for no reason.
Yeah.
Do you have one like stuck in your head right now?
Ooh, I did earlier. It was a phrase in Brazilian Portuguese because I also speak Brazilian Portuguese.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I started learning it because it's my partner's first language.
Oh, cool.
They're fluent in English. I just thought it'd be nice for us to both speak Brazilian Portuguese.
Yeah.
But it was I can't remember what it is anymore.
Have you heard the Garfield sound on TikTok?
Which one? There's so many. I have so many Garfield mutuals. My best friend's nickname has been Garfield like since I met them, which was like 3 years ago.
He's like, oh, Garfield, the cable's out. He's like, why isn't this thing working?
Yes.
Garfield, did you hear me? The cable's out. He's like, Garfield, listen to me carefully. The cable is out. The cable?
The cable is out.
I just been like, Garfield, listen to me carefully. The cable is out. Just all day.
It's such a good one.
Oh man. So when you were like researching that you were autistic, do you recommend any like sites or like things you read?
I can't remember any of the sites in particular off of the top of my head, unfortunately. But it was like a collection of like a ton of different websites and talking to people that I know that are autistic who either have a diagnosis or figured it out long before me about their experiences. So above all, I would recommend if you can find anyone who is autistic or who you like, just who is autistic or to talk to them about their experiences and how it affects them. Because I can't really remember any of the sites off the top of my head. I will say, don't read sites written by neurotypical people about autism. Because, or even just like allistic people, because they don't understand.
Yeah.
They can think they understand, but unless you've lived it, it's just not the same.
Yeah. I like started looking in like those like mom Facebook groups that I should not have.
No, not the autism moms.
It was just like the first thing, because like I was like, yeah, I'm gonna help my sister, and like at first I was like, this seems interesting.
Yeah.
And then I just started reading more like actual articles from like different hospitals and shit. And I can't think of any of the ones off the top of my head either from like when I first started reading, but I do know like a year ago, somebody who made a website, it's called like Embrace Autism. It has a lot of like autism like tests and just like the signs in not only boys but also girls, which you don't usually find.
And that too, I also took a lot of tests.
Yeah.
Like online.
Yeah, like a lot. Like a bunch of the like random ones were like, maybe you might be. And I'm like, maybe.
I was like, I have to be sure. I can't just take one and then think that's my answer. I have to take all of them that I can get my hands on.
Yep, pretty much.
And they were all like, you're definitely autistic.
And I was like, one more just to be sure.
Yeah. Every time it was just one more. Like maybe these ones are all wrong. Maybe like the freaking 20 that I've already taken are all wrong.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, but that website was really helpful. I did like that it's like, I think at least one of the people who helped make the website is autistic. I'm not exactly sure about how many of the other people who did, but like the one person who's like prominent got like a little cartoon figure on the website. Like they're supposed to represent the one person who made the website who has autism. So I did like that.
And it's always good to make sure that at least one of the people on the team that helped with the thing is autistic.
Yeah.
One thing that really bothers me is the amount of people who say, oh, well, everyone seems to be autistic these days. There's no way that you're autistic. It's just a trend to say that you are. It's just more people are figuring it out because there's a much more accessible, like, way to find out. And there's a ton of people who are gathered together on the internet because the internet makes meeting people very convenient.
Yeah. The internet makes like finding that community so much easier.
Yeah.
And like being able to actually talk to people in that community, as opposed to like even like 30 years ago, you could find people in that community, but they'd probably be harder to reach out to. Yeah. Like if they were like, you could find the community, but they were all like in a specific group you had to join and you had to be in that city, where now you can join from literally anywhere.
Yeah. Which is amazing. And I wish that people would stop saying, oh, well, it's just a trend. Like, no, it's just a lot easier to figure it out now.
Yeah. The internet is very helpful also if you're autistic, because like it is very hard to make friends in real life.
It is.
I don't understand neurotypicals. It's very...
Neither do I.
I always love the meme whenever I see like autism memes where they're talking about how like neurotypical people just do not say what they mean at all, ever. They don't.
It's like a secret language that you're supposed to decipher, and it's ridiculous. And they're like, you're just supposed to know the rules. And I'm like, but I don't know the rules. No one taught me the rules.
Yeah. It's like, there is no book. Could you write it down for me? And also, could you tell me all of the exceptions? Because I know also sometimes these things they're not always the rule. You guys make these rules and then don't always follow the rules.
Yeah. Like, when do the rules apply and when do they not? And they're like, you're just supposed to know. Well, I don't know.
I saw this TikTok earlier, and it was someone saying you should never lie. And they were like, oh, cool, I'll tell the truth. And then the person was like, whoa, why are you always telling the truth? Sometimes it hurts people's feelings. And they're like, but lying's bad. And they're like, yeah, but sometimes you have to lie. And they're like, so when do I know when to lie? And they're like, you'll know. And they're like, no.
I won't know, actually.
Definitely very confusing.
Yeah. They make it so hard to be friends with them.
Which is why the internet's great, because now it's like I can join a group where like everybody's obsessed with Gilmore Girls. And like I can very easily suss out the people who are some type of neurodivergent and just be friends with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the people who are like, oh yeah, I love this show, I watch it every once in a while. And the people are like, I have lived and breathed these 7 seasons for like the past 10 years. I'm like, yep, you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also like neurotypical people can like the same things that I like, but they'll never like it the same way that I do.
No.
Or my friends, like slashers and just like horror media in general has been my special interest for a really long time. Mm-hmm. I got into D&D a few years ago. That became a special interest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I love these things so much that it is literally a part of my personality. And people are like, well, this thing is a part of your personality. It is. Mm-hmm. It absolutely is.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I used to like get in fights with people in Facebook groups because like I had watched the show so many times that I knew everything, and people would just be like, I wonder why this is. And I'd be like, did you even watch it?
Did you even watch the show?
I remember I was in a Facebook group for Glee back when I liked Glee.
Uh-huh.
Which I still do, and I'm sorry. It's
okay.
It's one of my sins.
I forgive you.
I can't get rid of it. But somebody was talking about Rachel's dads, and in the first season, she has this picture of like 2 dads, and one is black and one is white. Mm-hmm. And then later in the show, you see that she has like 2 white dads.
Oh.
And everybody's like, oh my God, a plot hole. I'm like, you guys are idiots. You don't even remember that one thing she said in season 2 about her dads breaking up over something about the furniture. Like they were arguing about interior design, and that's probably why she has a different dad. And people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, watch it. I'm like looking for a clip. To show people. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's there.
Watch this episode. It'll tell you all you need to know.
I was like so obsessed, and I would like be fighting with people over like tiny little details that like nobody would have remembered.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like so important to me.
But I remember.
Exactly. But also I have terrible memory. I don't know how I remember all of these tiny little things, but like I can't remember all of my childhood. It's horrible.
Yeah, same.
I would like to remember some things, useful things, maybe.
Yeah. Instead of the traumatic stuff, I would like to remember some good things. There are a couple like core memories that I have, like at my old preschool. One time we went on, like a, oh my God, what's it called?
A field trip?
No, like a scavenger hunt. Oh my goodness. We went on a scavenger hunt for like dragon eggs and bits of like fairy dust and stuff like that. And I very, very vividly remember finding this one dragon egg, and it's like that memory will never leave my brain. But there's also a lot of very traumatic stuff that I remember that I will not talk about. But my dad is not a great person, and that's what I'll say.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that I remember that I wish I didn't.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't I remember, like, going like, camping or stuff like that?
So glad that I remember every single song that they sang in Glee. Could I maybe remember my 8th birthday? I don't know. Something.
Could I maybe even remember just like a mundane day from when I was like 10.
Yeah. Any day from like 10. I don't
either.
Oh my God.
I don't remember like anything from before 5th grade, and even like from 5th grade to 8th grade, it's like spotty.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember 3rd grade, my second time around. And a bit of 4th and 5th grade. And then 6th and 7th grade, because that was traumatic.
Yeah.
Only because I think everybody else there knew that I was probably autistic, and I just didn't, which is so ridiculous that they can always tell before we can. It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
But they could probably tell. And I was done giving them like answers. Like I was very into school when I was younger. And I was done giving them answers. So they were just like, all right, guess we're just going to bully this person then. So like 6th and 7th grade was rough.
6th and 7th grade, like actually all of middle school was like super rough for me because being autistic and having ADHD, I do actually have a diagnosis for ADHD, by the way. I've had one since like 2nd grade, which makes some of the stuff that my mother has said over the past few years very, very, it's, yeah.
Very colorful.
Yeah. Like, hey, what the hell, man? Like, you knew since 2nd grade and you still denied for like 3 years that I have it. I was like, hey, I'm struggling in school and this is probably the source of it. And she's like, no, you couldn't have that. But apparently she's known since 2nd grade. Anyway, I was talking about something else before this. Having ADHD and autism, I was so into anime. I loved it so much. It was the only thing I would ever talk about, like anime and cartoons and certain video games. And I had just moved to a new school where everyone knew each other since like kindergarten.
Oh no.
And then I was the new kid and no one knew me. And their introduction to me was me being extremely autistic about anime, which they did not take kindly to.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of bullying for about 3-4 years, because I think I got there in 5th grade.
Oy.
So about 4 years of that, and then we went on to high school, and a lot of them went to the same high school as me, and then they became the popular kids at my high school.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, by then, like, I went to a pretty big high school, so I didn't have to associate with them at all.
Yeah.
And they didn't even have to think about me, which was good. Because a lot of them went into like humanities and stuff. And I went into the normal classes.
Yeah. It's very hard to get into school if one of my interests aren't in it now. Like when I was younger, my interest was school. So it was like, yeah, no, I'm totally down for this. But like as I got older and like I started to become interested in more things, it was very hard to stay interested in school.
Yeah.
Like I loved art class because one of my interests is art, but like not enough because like it was like, yeah, you're in art class, but you have to draw this thing for a grade.
Yeah.
Not like you can just draw.
Yeah. You have to do this with this very, very specific criteria. And if you change even a single thing or get even a single thing, quote unquote, wrong, you're going to suffer for it.
Yep.
And if you turn stuff in like not on time, you're going to suffer for it. My art teacher, my freshman year, wouldn't let me turn things in early.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And there couldn't be any white space at all on the entire page or canvas. And he would have us do like these massive pieces of paper. And I was like, I can't draw on this scale.
That's so
especially
crazy.
in like these 2 days time that you've given me to do it.
Yeah. I had more trouble like turning it in on time because it was art. So like I'd be like, I am gonna figure out how to make this me, no matter what this like what this project is. I remember when I first got to high school, we were drawing like still lifes. So like everybody was like drawing like the random objects that the teacher put out on the table. And I instead looked at the kid across from me and just drew him while he was drawing things. And like it wasn't a bad picture. Like it looked pretty close to him, but the teacher was like, that's not what I told you to do. I was like, he was still, that is life.
What's the problem here?
I was like, I followed the rules. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I, for one, had a problem with like doing things in not a lot of like lines and not putting in a ton of detail into things. So we had like still lives where we would have to draw for a minute and then immediately stop and switch to another thing.
Oh no.
But it was like antlers with coat hangers on them, and I was like, that's so fucking cool. So I was like, I have to get all the detail in the antlers. And like now I'm better at drawing fast, but that's because it was 4 years ago.
Yeah. And I don't like to draw fast. I love to put little details in. Like I will just go in and like put these little scratches on the grass. Like I'm just so extra for no reason. And like,
I love drawing slow.
Yeah.
But like now I can do it faster if I have to.
Yeah, if I have to. Yeah. But like
if I'm working on a commission or an art trade or something. Like I'll still take my time with it, but I'll try to get it done as fast as possible just because I want them to see it so bad.
Yeah. I don't do commissions, mostly just because I'm a little insecure about my art, but I have gotten commissions from people, and like whenever they like show me, I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. How did you do that so quickly?
Yeah. My friend bought me something off of my Amazon wish list recently and commissioned me to draw the clown in their profile picture baking a cake while smoking a blunt. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that here, but
I think it's fine.
Okay, cool. And I thought that was lovely. And the thing that they bought me off of my Amazon wish list was Lil Jon's cookbook, From Crook to Cook, which I was so excited about because I love cooking and baking so much.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I usually just take commissions from friends. I usually don't take commissions from strangers, but if someone were to reach out and be like, hey, I really love your art. Can I pay you to draw something for me? I would be like, hell yeah, you can.
You're like, wow, really? Yes.
You really want to do that for me? Wow.
Okay.
But so far it's yet to happen, so.
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know,
Maybe now. Maybe somebody will be like, wait a second.
That art in their profile picture?
Okay, so before we say goodbye, I have 2 games for you. Yeah. The first one is, would you give them a queer happy ending?
Yay!
So when you sent in your form, you sent in a list of 5 TV shows that you like to watch. And I picked one character from 2 of the TV shows, and I'm just going to tell you each one, and you would tell me if you would give them a queer happy ending and what it would be. So the first one is Black Star from Soul Eater.
Yes, I would give him a queer happy ending. I personally headcanon Black Star as a like a demi-romantic oh my goodness, demi-romantic bisexual trans man.
Nice.
So I would give him his queer happy ending by allowing him to, get all of the surgeries that he needs to feel more comfortable in his body and to not feel pressure to find someone to settle down with, but if he does find someone, that he gets to have that with them.
Okay. And then the second one is Water Baby from Centaur World.
Yes. I had Gannon Water Baby as a lesbian, and I think that she should find a beautiful other centaur, some sort of centaur, whether it be like another hippotar or just anyone that she's interested
maybe
in.
A bear tar.
Maybe a bear tar, but someone else who's like as magical as her to settle down with and to, you know, find that happy ending with.
Okay, and the second game, this game is called Does It Give You Gender Envy? So I'm just gonna tell you a random thing, like I literally just pick like 3 random things, and you can just tell me yes or no if it gives you gender envy, and if you'd like to explain, then you can. If not, you don't have to.
Okay.
So the first one is an all-black hydro flask.
No, I don't think so.
No?
No. Just because like I need something to have like a ton of like little accessories and more form than just a cylinder to give me gender envy.
Okay. Number 2 is a rabbit.
Is there anything particular about the rabbit?
No, just any rabbit.
Yes. Yeah.
Love that. And then number 3 is a melted candle.
Yes. Oh my God, absolutely.
Me too.
I can't explain exactly why, but you get it.
Yeah, I get it.
And I'm sure plenty of the listeners will get it. But yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Do you have anything you want to promote?
If anyone listening is very into Undertale or Deltarune, I have an Undertale Deltarune shitpost account called the Yeet Queet, THEYEETQUEET. And I'll give a little bit of quick backstory on that because people always ask, like, how did you come up with your username? That's so dumb. And it's because when I originally got TikTok, I really wanted the username, the Yeet Queen, but that was taken. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just make it rhyme with the Yeet Queet. And then, like, I couldn't think of a Discord username when I first got Discord. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just use this.
Yeah.
So then it kind of caught on and it became my nickname in a lot of different servers. Well, I wasn't in a lot of different servers. I was in like 3 servers, but it caught on there. And I was like, I like this as a nickname. It's silly. And so now I don't want to change it.
Yeah. I'll also put it in the description down below so people will be able to visually see it.
Sweet. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope you have a lovely night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again to Thio for joining me on the topic of autism. Our Lives, Gender Included is created by Faitze, hosted by Faitze, edited by Faitze, and produced by Faitze, and now partially financially produced by Danielle M on Anchor. To access my socials, you can go to my website, lyricallyfaight.wixsite.com/Faitze. It will be a link down in the description, and you'll find the links to all of my socials I have. And if you click the support page, you can support me financially via a one-time donation on my PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. Or you can subscribe to Anchor or you can subscribe to Patreon at the various tiers I offer for different benefits. And very soon, you will be able to purchase my art on Redbubble. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of your day in the simulation.